for contingency selection, there are two methods or two possible approaches are there. One is direct method and the second one is indirect method. In direct method, this involves screening and direct ranking of contingency cases. They monitor appropriate post contingency quantities, that is power flows, bus voltages. The severity measure is often a performance index. Here in direct method, what is happening? We are directly monitoring the post contingency quantities and with the help of this direct screening we are giving them ranking based on that their severity. The most severe contingency will give a higher rank, then less severe contingency will give lesser rank. Okay, so in this way, here we are directly ranking the contingency cases based on direct screening or directly monitoring. Okay, I hope this point is clear to you. The next point, that is indirect method. This gives values of contingency case severity indices for ranking without calculating the monitor contingent quantities directly. Here we are not going to calculate the severity of contingencies directly. Okay, so that is why the name indicates it is a indirect method. Here we are ranking the contingencies again based on the severity. Okay, but here in previous case what we were doing, we were monitoring the post contingency quantities directly. Here we are not going for a direct monitoring. With the help of some indirect monitoring, we are calculating or we are evaluating post contingency quantities, and based on the severity of these contingencies again we are giving them a ranking. Okay, I hope this point is clear to you. There are two possible approaches for contingency selection. Either you can go with direct method or you can go with indirect method. Okay, the next point is simulation of line outage is more complex than generator outage. So this point will be much clearer to you when we will discuss exactly contingency analysis in our next video lecture. But till now, you please try to concentrate on this point. The simulation of line outage is more complex than generator outage, since a line outage result in a change in system configuration. If one of the line fails between, if suppose one power system is there, and suppose in that power system between some let's say bus number 1 and 5, if that bus number 1 and 5 is connected with one transmission line, if suppose that line failed, so this will be the evaluation or simulation of line outage. If you want to evaluate or if you want to simulate this consequences of line outages, then that will be more complex as compared to generator outage. Why? Because of line outage, system configuration changes. Okay, next point, the inverse matrix modification lemma or compensation method is used throughout the contingency analysis. The inverse matrix modification lemma helps in calculating the effects of network changes due to contingencies without reconstructing or refactorizing or inverting the base case network matrix. Why we are taking the help of this IMMLA, that is inverse matrix modification lemma? Because with the help of if we take the help in calculating the effects of network changes due to contingencies, it will calculate without reconstructing or refactorizing or inverting the base case matrix. Okay, that is why we are taking help of this inverse matrix modification lemma. in calculating network quantity changes. Okay, it is also possible to achieve computational economy by getting only local solutions by calculating the inverse elements in the vicinity of contingencies. If you want to obtain computational economy, then it will be preferable to go for local solutions. Okay, and that to calculate the uh, quantities or in the vicinity of contingencies only. Okay, now the next point comes here, that is how far one should go. Means this local solution, how far it should be carried out. So for this purpose we have to use sensitivity analysis, or sensitivity analysis will help us out. So what is this sensitivity analysis? We will discuss this sensitivity analysis in our next lectures in detail. Okay, next point, the problem of studying hundreds of possible outage become very difficult to solve if it is desired to present the result quickly so that corrective actions can be taken. See, now, the problem of studying hundred of possible outages become very difficult to solve. If there are 100 possible outages are there, so therefore it is very difficult to study those 100 number of outages. Again, if it is desired to present the result quickly so that corrective action can be taken, if we could able to give the results of these outages quickly, then it will be helpful for us to take corrective actions immediately. So how we can do this? If suppose hundreds of possible outages are there, let's say 150 outages are there, how we can do? So for that, one of the simplest way of obtaining a quick calculation of possible overload is to use a network sensitivity factor. Okay, network sensitivity factor will help us out in this problem. Okay, how this sensitivity factor is helping us? These factors shows the approximate change in the line flows for changes in generation on the network configuration and are derived from DC load flow. Mainly what it is doing in this sensitivity factor, if we use these factors, shows the approximate change in line flows for changes in generation on the network configuration. Okay, so we are using some approximation so that we can get the results quickly and we can decide the corrective actions immediately. Okay, so again this we can do, that is how to use the sensitivity factor. We can do in two ways. Either we can go for generation shift distribution factor, line outage distribution factor. We will discuss these 2 points, that is generation shift distribution factor and line outage distribution factor, in detail in sensitivity factor analysis or in sensitivity analysis. Okay, again here, in practical situations when a contingency causing emergency occurs, a control action to alleviate limit violation is always taken if such capability exists and a protective system permits time to do so. In practical situation, if suppose some contingency is causing emergency condition, if suppose one generator got failed, one transmission line got failed, or somewhere fault has occurred, anyway we have to take control action to alleviate the limit violations. How we can take this? How we can alleviate this limit violation? If our system permits, or if it has got that capability, or I can say that if my system has got protection, then it can do it on its own. Okay. The next point, that is security control function respond to each insecure contingency cases. usually in decreasing order of severity. Security control function, what it is doing, it is responding to each insecure contingency case, and again usually in the decreasing order of severity. That means the most severe contingency case will be evaluated first or responded first, then less severe, then less severe, and so on. How the security control function respond? It responds in following step. The first one is rescheduling the pre-contingency operating state to alleviate the emergency resulting from the contingencies. The security control function, how it can respond to insecure contingency. If suppose if insecure contingency is going to occur, what it can do, the security controlling, what he can do, it can reschedule the pre-contingency operating state to alleviate the emergency resulting from contingencies, and or okay, you can either go with step A and B, or you can go for either or. Second step, you can go for developing a post contingency control strategy that will eliminate the emergency. See, no doubt contingency, they are going to create emergency. What you can do, or what we can do, either we can work out on pre-contingency state, that is before contingency is going to occur. If we work out on our system, we can try to minimize the emergency condition, or I can say we can try to minimize the violations in the operating limit. Or if suppose if contingency has occurred, we have to decide the control strategy so that after contingency, that is post contingency, we can eliminate the emergency. Okay. And the third point, that is taking no action. Why? Because on the basis that post contingency emergency is small, or probability of its occurrence is very low. Okay. So on these 3 points, the security control functions works. Okay. Now the next point is specific security control is a design. A specific security control is designed to operate in real time or study mode. We can design a specific control so that it can operate in real time or study mode. Second thing, schedule active or reactive power control, or both. And that security function, either it should control active power, or it should control reactive power, or it should control both. Third one is achieve a defined security level, and the fourth one is minimize the defined operational objective. See, for a specific power system, we can define a specific security control function. How we can design that specific security control function? We should design it in such a way that it should operate in real time or in study mode. Secondly, it should be able to schedule active and reactive power controls. It should achieve a defined security level. With the help of this, we should be able to achieve defined security level for our power system. And the next point is minimize a defined operational objective. Whatever objectives are there, we are always try to minimize the objectives. Okay. Only small proportion of work on optimal power flow has taken into account the security constraint. The most successful application have been to the security constraint megawatt dispatch optimal power flow subproblem. The contingency constraint voltage or VAR rescheduling, that is reactive power rescheduling problem, as of the writing of this text still remains to be solved to a satisfactory degree. See, the problem for optimal power flow, including security constraint, only small proportion of work has done in this field. If you are going for optimal power flow, and again if you want to consider security constraint, much work is not done in this field. Okay. So the next point is the total number of contingency constraints imposed on security constraint optimization is enormous. Okay. Again, the security constraint optimization or contingency constraint optimal power flow problem is solved with or without first optimizing with respect to base case, or we can refer this as pre-contingency constraints. The general procedure adopted for this is as follow. Contingency analysis is carried out and cases with violation or near violations are identified. Second is the security constraint problem is solved. The third one is the rescheduling in step 1. Step 1, you refer this as this step, that is rescheduling here. Okay, a rescheduling in step 1 might have created new violation, and therefore step 1 should be repeated. If because of rescheduling, if some violations are there, we have to again reschedule. How we can reschedule in further? We should reschedule it in such a way that violation should not exist. Okay, so the rescheduling in step 1 might have created new violations, and therefore step 1 should be repeated till no violations exist. Hence, security constraint optimization represent potentially massive additional computing efforts. Okay, I hope you like this video. If you like this video, please subscribe our channel, hit the like button, hit the bell icon. Okay, in our next video lecture we are going to discuss contingency analysis by taking some examples. Okay, thank you very much.